Every piece of creative work is designed with intent and holds high intrinsic value. It deserves to be protected. Understanding the intrinsic value of the work produced and ensuring the creator's rights are not infringed is what we will learn in this masterclass on intellectual property rights. Let's go. Intellectual property, IP, deals with the protection of legal rights for the original creations of the mind. This can range from the scientific, industrial, literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, or other fields. There are three major forms of protection for intellectual property: copyright, patents, and trademarks. In this feature, the focus will be on copyright and related rights. In Jamaica, there are two main pieces of legislation that govern the protection of copyrights in general: the Copyright Act and the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office Act. The Intellectual Property Office Act outlines the function of the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office (JIPO), the body responsible for ensuring that intellectual property rights (IPR) are protected. JIPO is tasked with ensuring the protection, administration, and enforcement of IPRs as a national economic growth and development responsibility. Let's learn how copyright helps to protect your creative works. Copyright is one of the more widely known terms associated with intellectual property rights. It covers the creators of works in the literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, and other design fields. Copyright makes it possible for these creators to have exclusive rights to use or authorize use of their work on agreed terms. A work is copyright protected automatically once created and must be original in nature. This principle was adopted from the International Copyright Convention, the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, of which Jamaica is a party. Another important layer of copyright protection is using the copyright symbol to give an official notice of ownership of your work. This is done by using the copyright symbol, the date of creation, which is usually the year, plus your name or entity, followed by an optional notice such as "all rights reserved." There are two main rights that are covered under copyright: economic rights and moral rights. Economic rights protect the financial value of the works and allow creators to earn from its use. Meanwhile, moral rights protect the right to the use of the work. They help to moderate the ways in which the work can be used and restrict revisions to a work. The length of time for copyright protection varies in different countries. Under the Berne Treaty, of which Jamaica is a party, along with another 180 countries, copyright holders will receive protection in these territories subjected to their national laws. In Jamaica, the protection for literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works lasts for the lifetime of the author, plus 95 years after his or her death. Copyright for sound recordings and films lasts for 95 years from the end of the year in which it was made available to the public. The protection for cable programs and broadcasts lasts for 95 years from the end of the year when the program was included in a cable program service or the broadcast was made. The protection for typographic arrangement, such as books, lasts for 50 years from the year in which the edition was first published. All works enter the public domain once copyright ends, and are therefore no longer protected under intellectual property rights law. Musicians, actors performing a play, and a publishing or distribution company do have a say when it comes to the recognition of their rights too. Though they are not the authors of the work, they have neighboring rights or related rights. Related rights protect the legal interests of persons or entities who have contributed to the recording or creation of the work available to the public. Three categories of people are normally recognized for related rights: performers, producers of sound recordings, and broadcasting companies. They receive the recognition of a copyright-like property right protection for their participation in creating the work. Jamaica is a land known for its creative output, ranging from reggae music to art pieces.
Songwriters and musicians need to protect their intellectual property Our songwriters, musicians must recognize the value of their intellectual property, must learn how to harness it for their wealth and the wealth and benefit of the nation. And yes, must take steps to protect their intellectual property in their own effort to secure your own future.
Section 31 of the Copyright Act of Jamaica states that copyright is infringed by any person who, without a license, the copyright owner does in relation to that work any of the acts that the copyright owner has the exclusive right to do pursuant to Section 9. The Section 9 rights, which is to copy the work, issue the work to the public, distribute the work, make an adaptation of the work, make the work available on demand, which is to make the work available on the internet. So anyone who infringes the copyright in a work can be penalized by way of a fine, depending on the jurisdiction of the court, or even imprisonment. Before 2015, people would constantly call to ask, how do I protect my copyright in a work? And the answer would be copyright protection arises automatically. And people would be like, and that's it. So we live in a society that we like to have something in our hands. And so in 2015, in response to the general public inquiries, and we have the voluntary copyright register, which an individual can deposit with us, a minimal fee, so creators can utilize this register and deposit their work. And they'll receive a certificate upon completing the application process, and this certificate can be used as supporting evidence in court should the work be infringed.
Collective Management Organizations, CMOs, are entities that enable rights holders to manage their rights and the use of their work. They act as agents for copyright holders collecting royalties, which is monies for the use of their work. They do this by issuing licenses for a fee to use protected works. They also track the use of works and request payment for its use. There are 3 active CMOs in Jamaica: Jamaica Music Society, JAMS, Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, and the Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency, JAMCOPY. Let's learn how the CMOs in Jamaica support our local creatives. The Jamaica Music Society, JAMS, is an organization that represents sound recording copyright holders, which includes record producers and record labels.
Now that you have produced the recording, you're now going to release the recording. And so you have the right to distribute. So he now finds a digital distributor or a traditional distributor, and he gets the work out. It gets placed on all the retail platforms, Spotify, etc., Rhapsody, etc., all of the retail platforms online. And if he's still fortunate, maybe he can find 1 or 2 physical locations, stores, where he wants to put some copies in if he actually makes physical copies. So he has a right to distribute. And so he goes ahead and he does that. And from that distribution that he has taken on, he will then be entitled to a flow of royalties coming in through to him via the digital distributor or via the distributor, full stop. So Spotify will send the money to the distributor or through probably several different intermediaries in that process. And the distributor would then end up paying the producer his share or her share of monies from that sale.
The Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, is a membership society for composers, authors and music publishers, otherwise known as the primary rights holders.
So the most important thing in terms of earning in today's world is actually streaming, download. And we still deal with the analog side, which is public performance. So download has practically, I won't say eliminate, but has taken over from the selling of CDs. Public performance will remain because that's where we have mostly our live events. And to state that JCAP is able to collect on any form of music usage. So recorded music, live music, even music in comedy shows, etc. You do need a permit to be able to use the music.
The Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency JamCopy is the entity responsible for the protection of rights for published, printed, and image-based works.
We follow the same cycle of activity as the other two CMOs. We obtain mandates, meaning that we go after the authors and publishers, or they come to us and they give us the authorization to act on their behalf. We then license the users, and our users are UE, UTech, Edna Manley, Shortwood Teachers College, all of the public primary and secondary schools under the Ministry of Education. So just about 95% of all the educational institutions in Jamaica. We then collect the licenses and then we distribute them as royalties.
It's important to learn and understand the value of protecting your creative work. Contact a CMO to learn more and get started.